has to be inside, in the sense, it should be focused, calibrated. Simply if you make effort, it's foolish effort, isn't it? Just labor is not going to get you somewhere. Right kind of action, the right timing, right place, all this is important, isn't it? So, for all these things to happen, you need perception and intelligence. So that's all you must do in your life. Constantly looking for ways to enhance your perception and your intelligence. Rest will anyway happen. This is one thing that unfortunately humanity is not doing. They're trying to become capable of something. Do not try to become capable of something. Just enhance your perception and intelligence. Can you see me right now, all of you? Can you see me? Just point out where I am. Use your hands and point out. Can you see me? Oh, you got it wrong. You know I'm a mystic. You're getting it completely wrong. Now, this light is falling upon me, reflecting, going through your lenses, inverted image in your retina. You know the whole story, right? Where do you see me right now? Within yourself. Where do you hear me right now? Within yourself. Where have you seen the whole world? Within yourself. Have you ever experienced anything outside of yourself? Everything that ever happened to you, darkness and light happened within you, pain and pleasure happened within you, joy and misery happened within you. Have you ever experienced anything outside of yourself? No. So what I am asking you is, what happens within you? Who should determine how it should happen? What happens within you? Who should determine how this should happen? Somebody else? Definitely you should determine what should happen within this, isn't it? So if you determine what's happening within this, your whole experience of life will be determined by you, nobody else but you, isn't it? The events around you may not be determined by you, but how your experience of life is on this planet is 100% determined by you if you take charge of this. If you leave it loose, just about anybody will determine it.
Uh-oh, that's the wrong one. Uh-oh, that's the wrong one. Uh-oh, where am I going? There I am. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? My message today has got to be one of hope. You know what I'm thinking? We in big trouble. We in big trouble. Bad times ahead. Bad times always ahead, y'all. But you can't let anybody ever touch your joy. You can't, bad times are only bad because you allow the people who are explaining what's happening to you to explain it in some sort of a negative sense that you adopt, that it's going to be something that's harmful and something that's going to hurt you. I love Sadhguru, y'all. Yes, I am a Christian and I watch Sadhguru. Yes, because I believe in all truth. I don't believe in I have the truth or my group has the truth. And I'm not really even affiliated necessarily with the group. I just believe in the beliefs because of some things happened to me in my life, and so that's where I sit. But not all truth resides there. So I'll post stuff from Buddha. I'll look at stuff that's Taoist. I'll listen to Sadhguru. I like, spiritual engagement because all truth is truth. But a lot of y'all get it, and a lot of y'all have that joy. You got that hope. And I think we got to share that. It's not just sharing the truth. I think we have to share with those not capable of that joy how to have it. And To me, I agree with Sadhguru. It's definitely about intellect and perception and how you process that on the inside, right? Like, you can't touch my joy. I had to explain this to somebody a little while ago. Oh, let me turn the music. I got to turn around. Riding in the bug, in the peace bug. Yes, this was my first car. It was red. No, that's a lie. It was pink. It was pink, and because it was faded red, then I painted it black. But so let's talk about this for a little bit, because I watch people, and even I try to make like a safe place. I try to make a place on my page where people can bring all their perspectives and share everything they want, because I really want to kind of get the pulse of where we are. And there's still a lot of people with just significant amounts of anger and despair and loss, and it doesn't allow you to focus on the bigger picture, the bigger sense, right? So I just wanted to share, like, so for me, my joy is in a place you can't have it, right? Like, that's just that's the facts of it. And it has a lot to do, I think, with faith and spirituality and accepting that this isn't it. And this is where I know my atheist friends, go out and I don't agree that this is it. Every ancient culture, which is why I love ancient archaeology, they've all said this is not it. There's so much more. And I really don't debate with thousands and thousands of other cultures. I love science, and I think science helps us to understand the things that they talked about. But this isn't it. And I'm not really even just talking about like end of life type stuff. That's important too, but there's just so much more that's always going on that we just don't understand. And you can't let the negativity in the news, you can't let the negativity and despair and what might happen, you can't let that get you down. You have to always focus on the fact that the human race, we've always been okay. Always. We've always made it. Things, whether you're in a bad place or not, in general, for the entire earth, things have always gotten better for humanity. Always. And so it's really illogical to have a whole lot of despair. If you place your hope in your job, somebody can take it. If you place your hope in your bank account, somebody can take it. If you place your hope in your political party, somebody can take it. If you place your hope in a politician or leader, somebody can take it. If your hope is in a general sense that we're just playing a little piece in something that's much larger than ourselves, something that always does tend to get better, because man is always evolving. Woman too. I gotta change how I talk. Humanity is always evolving, and we're always getting better at what we do. In a general sense, we have less famines, we have less plagues. There is more food on the planet. It is in more abundance. Believe it or not, there is less violence. It's just broadcast more now, and so things are always getting better. And so my hope, I put it in places where it's just, you can't have it. And that's the phenomenal thing about spirituality, whatever you believe in. If you have some sort of belief in spirituality or a sense of chaos and order in the universe, is that you're not really so concerned that you get to a point where you flip out at people on the internet, or you flip out at people in real life. You always know that things are always going to be okay. And if things are always going to be okay, then all this is just discussion and perspectives and current events in a path for humanity that's always getting better. Now, mind you, it might end really badly. It might come to a really swift end. But that's not even bad, right? That's not even bad. And so, and the last thing I'll say about that is that I think if you really, I think the older you get, the more you focus on what really matters in life. And I listen to a lot of people and they talk about what matters to them. And it's just, I think, a general sense. The more people, and just in general, not always, but the more people that you love that get old and die around you, the more it tends to focus our brains on what actually matters. And the more you focus on real value in life and what actually matters, I think the less all the politic nonsense and the anger matters. And so it is my thought. I mean, we do have to share the truth, and we definitely can't let people continue to go on being gaslit and believe in lies. But you also got to share your joy, right? You got to share that in a way where it's loving. And you also, I find that I have to kind of lean people towards always put yourself in the other person's shoes. Always. There's always a perspective based on a stork lottery because you were born in a certain place. And people hand down to you that you're supposed to hate this person because you were born in this place. And as you grow up, and I think as you mature and become an adult, and people around you who are wise, and we're watching our libraries, our wise people slowly go away, the scary thing is that means we have to become the wise people. That's the only scary thing to me. We have to become the wise people. It means the people that we always looked up to, mom, pop, grandma, grandpa, uncle, aunt, whoever it may be, Sag Guru, you know, Martin Luther King, JFK, as these wise people start to pass and go, you got to become those people. Like, that's why humanity always gets better, because they hand down to us wisdom. And we're supposed to take that wisdom and take out that some of that immaturity and keep going. And then grab who we can and bring them along on this maturity, wisdom voyage that humanity tends to be on. And I think that's how things keep moving forward. And so that's the only fear that I really have, is that, am I being wise, right? Am I really taking in all the experiences that all of my friends and the wise people and the folks I've looked up to, that they've handed down to me? Am I making sure that when I can, I'm handing that down to my kids? And so joy and hope are huge. You got to place your joy and hope in places where people can't get. You have to be like that kid. I like the toddler example. You got to be like the kid in daycare. When you get that toy, the little Matchbox car. I don't even know if they make Matchbox cars anymore. Little Matchbox car. You got to put it in a place nobody can get to. You know, I had two big brothers. They always used to take every damn thing I had. Everything. Time I get something good, they always stealing it. Anytime I get a chocolate, and that's why that's why I started lifting weights. Because, like, you know what? This is what the world is like. Two big dudes always taking everything I got. No, I'm gonna have to fight. That's why I started lifting weights. I made a little ninja workout area in my basement. So I was gonna make sure my joy, my chocolates from Halloween, whatever I got, I was gonna put them in places where nobody could get to them. I'd hide them, and once I got a little bigger than my brothers, I made sure that they couldn't come anywhere near it. But you got to take your joy, the things that really make you want to get up in the morning, and you can't give it to a corporation. You can't give it to outside people. You have to always make sure that your sense of peace is maintained, or this stuff will rip you apart. So I'm trying to do positive thing today. I'm going to talk about positive stuff. Because sometimes I think it gets a little people who don't really know how to regulate and balance that joy. It becomes a little rough for them. So we'll talk about some happy stuff today. Sister Desiree said a ninja workout here. Yeah, I had a ninja workout. I was in the basement. I drew a picture. It was a ninja. I put it on the wall. I used to go down there and practice. But girl, this is back in the 70s and 80s, where we had people with afros doing kung fu. No, it wasn't just Bruce Lee. We had people. So, you know, you go down there, watch the video, do some kicks, high jumps, fall on your butt, you know, but you get better at it. Then you go upstairs, beat your brothers up. So, but you have to, and that's a good example. You have to have spiritual kung fu in a sense. You have to have that spiritual filter, so that when you watch the news, that gaslighting doesn't come in. You know, I mean, some of the news you can't watch. You know me, I'm the first one to tell you, don't watch the mainstream media Don't watch it because it'll drive you insane. Like and it's even some of my family. Like I'm just like, really? Like this is what we're talking about? We're still, you know, everything that you hear, it's processed by your subconscious. And if all day long you hear, gosh, I wanted to do one broadcast and I don't want to say any president's name. So I'm not going to say any names. I'm going to try. It's going to be hard. But if you hear that, you know, this person is the best thing since poured bread and rice and just ain't never did nothing wrong, and you hear that 20 times a day, you're going to believe it. That's just how your subconscious works. But if you watch your other media and you're around your other friends and this is the person is the most horrible person on the planet's falling apart, the core and it's melting and lava shooting out, we all going to die, you're going to believe that, and it's going to send you down a depression route. And the other side is going to hate the person when you say lava's coming out and you don't see no lava, and then you start fighting, and it's just dumb stuff, and it's just because you're not processing and filtering what you're letting in. It's like I posted something this morning. I know what happened to Brother Jesse. I don't know if y'all saw that. Brother Jesse was on RT, Russia Today. I don't know his last name. I saw some stuff from him a long time ago. He is definitely a little out of touch with reality, but he's a good brother. He means well. But again, you know, but he was a good example that we are all products of our environment. And so why I listened to, and it was actually a good talk on our crosstalk. It was a good discussion. They hit a lot of truths. I don't agree with a lot of what was said, but that's okay. I don't have to. It was entertaining too. But it was a good example of how detached you can be from a certain community if you're not exposed to that community and all of its diversity. And so Jesse, you know, he is one of the minorities, as y'all like to call him, who I guarantee he voted for Trump. He's a Trump supporter 1,000 times over. But he's in that place where Trump can't do anything wrong. Thank you, Sister Mary. He wants a wall too. He wants a wall because he says it'll be good for Black America. And I kind of chuckle at that a little bit. He agrees with Hillary Clinton that we should have a wall. I'm saying, nope, she wasn't president. You didn't get me. No, I said Trump. All right. I messed up. Never mind. But you can be detached from a community and be out of base. And so 70% of what he said was true. But he pushes too far on this blind support thing. You know how I am with blind support and blind hate for any president or any leader. It doesn't get us anywhere. It just keeps us locked in a place where nothing changes. So it was a good interview. You can watch it. But it was also an example to me of how we can also become detached from humanity, right? Like it's not just Jesse, it's us, right? If you grew up in an area where you weren't exposed to different types of people, diverse people, then you're going to have that perspective. You are going to be prejudiced to a certain way of being. Not all human beings, but in those communities, you're going to have the logic and the wisdoms, the fears and the hates of people in that community. And that's what he kind of has. And so it's the same thing with us in America, right? It works on a local scale, works on a world scale. If we're detached from our brothers in the UK, we're detached from our brothers in Palestine and Israel and Russia and all over, we can develop a sense of prejudice and not really understanding and being detached from the greater world community, which is what we are, whether you like it or not. I have a lot of friends that are just focused. They just want to focus on the United States. And, you know where I stand with that. I'm not for prejudice. I'm not for anything that smells anything like some racism, nationalism, same thing. It's all the same thing, whether well-meaning or not. We have a worldwide internet. We now know what's happening all over the world. We are now one world tribe. Whether we want to act like it or not, it's totally up to us. It's totally our ignorance levels, right? But we are one world tribe now. And we're either going to act like it or we're going to continue to hand the whole world to the 1%. And that's the other thing I laugh at. Like, I'm not confused that this isn't my world. I don't own this world. We don't own the night. We do not own this world. And it's not stressful to me to admit the truth. We are being farmed. We're cattle. And the 1% owns this planet. And so I don't get upset when I watch the news, and I know that I'm a slave. I joke about picking cotton all the time. I doesn't bother me because I accept that reality. And that's the one thing about what Sadhguru was talking about in terms of intelligence and perspective and accepting the truth. That if you know we're on a farm, you know you're being farmed, you know you're in the farm fences, then you know what the fences look like. You can look at the fence and say, you know what, that wall, that's a fence. You know, that Democrat, Republican, or whatever, that mindset, that ideology, that's a fence. That racism, that's a fence. That name, Black Lives Matter, that's a fence. That group name, White Lives Matter, that's a fence. And so I don't get discombobulated and out of shape, and I know how to think about it in terms of how does that fit in the sense of the world, right? Does that have a place in abolishing the one thing that makes these things really insignificant forever? And that's greed, right? And so I focus on the greed. I don't focus on, you know, the mid-tier groups and nationalism and religions and stuff. You know, anything that they want to get y'all to fight over, you just have to say no. You just look at it from a filtered perspective. You know, what is this? I'm sorry, I'm looking, and I have some positive stuff that we can talk about today, some positive news. I don't have any negative stuff. No, nothing that people who don't understand it will take it as negative. You know, it's cold outside, and that's a little negative, but it's positive too. The planet is always changing. Things are always evolving, and you know, I was actually looking at the weather. Why is it so cold? And they're calling it the Arctic vortex, which is just a normal weather cycle. It happens. Sometimes it happens and we get cold for a few weeks. Sometimes it happens we get cold for a couple thousand years. But the thing I think that we need to focus on is that when things change, we have to adapt to those changes, right? I got another background I flipped to. We have to adapt to those changes, right? So if we know that our areas are like really, really cold and other areas are really, really hot, and this is our peach orchard behind us in South Carolina and the citrus orchards and they're freezing, we know that they don't want to be froze. We know that the farmer's nice and he sprays the water on them so they freeze and you know, they don't get too damaged, but they do get damaged, so they won't produce as much fruit. So what does that mean for us coming up in spring? It means the price of fruit will be going up. The price of vegetables will be going up. And so we prepare for it. And I think that's what we have to do instead of flipping out and, oh my God, climate change. We got to stop the whole third world from having gasoline. We got to hold them back in the fourth world. You just look at it and you process it. You know what? Yeah, this happens. We can either prepare for it or we can fight about who did it. I don't want to fight about who did it. I just want to prepare for it. So let me see what y'all talking. This is mostly just going to be, if y'all got something to talk about, we'll talk about that today. And if not, I'm just going to show some positive stuff. A lot of positive things that happen. Positive. North Korea, South Korea. You know what they're going to do at the Olympics, y'all? At the Olympics, I know it's the Coliseum, and I can say negative things about the Coliseum, and I'm not. I'm going to say something positive. So even though it is the Coliseum, North Korea and South Korea going to march down to the Coliseum together under one flag. One flag, y'all. North Korea and South Korea. Kim Jong-un, Sam Jong-il, and South Korea going to march together to the Olympics under one flag. Look at what can happen when you embrace some peace. Look at what happens when you just stop using a war broker for peace talks. And that's not negative. That's just honest. America's a war broker. They're not a peace broker. They want to show up and negotiate some peace with you. You're not getting no peace. That's not going to happen. That ain't nothing happening. Sister Mary. No, it's not Jesse Ventura, Sister Mary. It's Jesse. I don't know his last name. Jesse Lee. Jesse Lee. Is it Patterson? Peterson. Jesse Lee. Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson. So he has a very conservative, Southern minority perspective. I guess he likes to say he grew up on a plantation. So he's got a really, you know, I had to, when I watched Brother Jesse, I had to. But you know what? But the thing is, it's good to watch him. You have to. you have to know how we all get formed, right? Like you can watch somebody and you can get angry at it, or you can watch it and say, wow, we are a pretty diverse nation. This is pretty crazy. You know, we can be all these different races and religions and all this crazy stuff, grown up in different areas, and it actually forms what we believe. Our environment forms our opinions. Maybe that's okay. You know, maybe it's okay that we got all these different types of people that all believe different things. Maybe we should talk to him. Doesn't mean he's the Nazi, he hates his own skin, he's racist against himself, or whatever. It just means that that's where he grew up. That's what he believes, And so yeah, so it was a good talk. So yeah, I recommend you watch it. They had a couple different perspectives on there, and they talked about why we are where we are, and perhaps some of the things we can do to kind of get out of there. Um, Let me see. You gotta have something good to watch. You gotta, TV is good if for fantasy. I like TV for fantasy. I'll watch some sci-fi and some aliens and stuff, and that'll kind of take me out of the reality of, not that I don't think they're real, but they're not here right now with me. So it'll it takes me out of the drama, right? Because that's really what it's become. It's become drama. Let's be honest, it's not even politics anymore. It's just drama. And so I don't have any interest in drama. My immune system works pretty good. I don't want it being taken down. Let me see. Been spending more time at my Rents TV news is always gotten good at blocking it out, but still draining. Turn off the news and cable TV. Yeah, you got to turn it off because we don't have a choice. As strong as you think you are, as good as your spiritual filter is on preventing that dramatic stuff from coming, it's still a little bit will always seep in. So I don't watch it. It's bad enough to watch alternative news, right? And alternative news is a little happier. You get more of a moderate view. The world is not coming to an end. That's crazy, and they crazy too. And so it's just, yes, it's like sanity. It makes you feel good, gives me hope. But even still, like constantly talking about nuclear weapons and war and famine, even still, your subconscious is still taking that in. So you got to have your escape, and you have to be able to turn on something else. I love Sadhguru. I listen to him. Well, I used to listen to him all the time. I haven't listened a lot. But like, find somebody wise who says really positive, hopeful things and turn it on every now and then. Avoid the divisive stuff. Let me see. Sister Tammy said, can we speak on the corrupt doctor? That's pretty broad, Tammy. That's it. There's a whole, I don't go to the doctor, so I think a whole lot of doctors are corrupt. If you could narrow that down for me a little bit, but yeah, there's a whole bunch of them, and the positive thing about that, and that is positive, that I don't go to the doctor. I stopped listening to my doctors, and now I've never needed a doctor since. I've needed a doctor in over a decade, so you got to narrow that down. There's a whole lot of corrupt doctors with the little thing in front of their name that doctors aren't what they used to be. I don't think Brother Jesse. I'm not sure Brother Jesse gonna be back on RT. It was kind of funny. I think he pushed a little. He went showing up looking for a fight. He brought that drama like, we're gonna fight. So it was kind of funny. You gotta find some good comedies. Yeah, Sister Sandra said, I've evolved from the mindset that divides us, and that is awesome. And isn't it freeing, Sandra? Like, isn't that freeing when you really get out of that mindset that I got to join a group and, be divided from the rest of my human beings? Like, there's something crazy and spiritual. I can't explain it. It's like trying to teach somebody what eating an orange is like. You can't explain how it's sweet. But when you really shed all of these things that other people hate, the groups, because there's always somebody that hates a group for something, whatever. There's something that I can't touch. It's something that I don't understand, but it's like you don't take in the negative energy from the people who hate that group or something. I don't know, but it makes you feel good. It makes you feel good to be a part of a 7 billion tribe strong, as opposed to something a lot smaller. And I can't explain it. people eat the orange. Eat the orange. The orange is sweet. It's delicious. But you know when you eat this orange and it's picked at the right time and you bite it and it just the sugars just make your mouth do this. It just turn a smile, frown upside down. You can't stop it. That's what it's like. That's what it's like. And some people, they'll try to take their drama and they'll focus it on you. They'll try to, but it doesn't stick because you know that you're not in that fight. You're in a push for a sustainable future for our children. And I think worldwide, you know, that's where a lot of peace comes from and can come from. And just looking at tech, and this is why I love technology, just technology alone in terms of what we're doing with automation and moving forward. If we use it for humans and not for greed and corruption and corporations, you know, the future is very, very bright, very, very bright. So I find it funny. I find it funny now to watch people team up. Lots of laughter. Probably shouldn't be laughter. Keeps me sane. Well, laughter keeps you sane, and it does, Sister Georgia. I guess there's some humor. Yeah, there is humor. There's humor in it. I guess I honestly, to be perfectly honest, I actually feel sorry for people. I do. When I see that someone is very emotional on a topic that the direction they're pushing will not change, I feel sorry for people. I do. I feel sorry for, you know, if you know that they're standing with the very same people who are destroying what they call their people, I feel sorry for them. So I guess it depends on who they are. I guess it depends on what they're debating about. Some of the drama's a little funny. Yeah, it's cold in Siberia. Yeah, it's been cold all over the planet. The ice age came and froze everything. It's coming again, Sandra. I don't know when. It's coming again. Let's see, Sister Tammy. Doctors are corrupted. Doctors here in California and around the U.S. government arrested 400 doctors in California. Tammy Pineda versus United States of America. Okay. So I imagine, are you talking about the holistic doctors? I think that's what you're going. I'm going to find some positivity in that. So yes, they are. And if this is what we're talking about, Tammy, I mean, they have been coming down on holistic doctors for a long time now, right? Like this is not anything new. I mean, even when tribes would fight, you imagine, you know, that they would go after their shaman. They would go after their doctor, because the doctor was key to everything, right? Like if you have somebody that's healing people, there's a lot of power in that, right? If you know things the others, there's always power in knowledge. And so they've been coming after our doctors for a long time. And I mean our holistic doctors. I'm not talking, because I don't know, but y'all's chemical doctors. And some of y'all are chemical doctors. And we love y'all too. And we appreciate y'all. Getting a car accident, a chemical doctor will save your life. I just don't lie about, you know, I don't fool myself that there's a difference between a holistic, a natural doctor, someone who uses the natural medicines that we've used ever since we've been on this planet, and one who's leaning more towards the chemical route. But the chemical route on rare occasions will save your life. So they've always been coming after our doctors. But the reality is, I think, Tammy, that makes me happy is now it's obvious they're right. Because if they weren't going after those doctors, we'd still be clueless as to whether or not those doctors are onto something, whether or not these people, you know, who came before us all were in skirts and had spears and they were just, you know, crazy, dancing around the fire, you know, burning sage, and it didn't do anything. But now science is showing that these doctors are right, that the holistic practices are correct, and that the body doesn't go through all these side effects, that there's huge efficacy in the natural path. And so, yeah, we're going to lose a lot of doctors, but that's what I think happens in every movement, every paradigm shift in society. You know, whoever goes first, that tends to be who they're going to get, right? I mean, you look at Nikola Tesla, and you look at the people who led the way, the Mahatma Gandhis, and, you know, the people who brought about these paradigm shifts. They always called them crazy at the time, but down the road, you know, we treasured them. They changed our society for the better. So I think a lot of the holistic doctors are doing it. And I don't confuse myself. Like, I think they know that they're going on a chopping block. Like, they're not confused, and they know the pharmaceutical companies run the world. They're one of the groups, guilds of that the oligarchs own that actually run the world. They're when all of our leaders, they go to the oligarchs table. And I don't know how often they meet because nobody tells me. I don't get an invite, but whatever our leaders, and I'm not going to say none of their names, I'm trying to do it. They all from all the countries get together and they go sit at the table, and the oligarchs, they have their presentation, start telling them what they're going to do, when they're going to do it, how they're going to do it, why they're going to do it. And the pharmaceutical industry is one of them. So I don't think those doctors are confused. I think they know that you're putting yourself out there and somebody might come for you. And that's why you can't really have any fear. And as those doctors go down, we have to step up. This is what we kind of started talking about, is how elders hand down that wisdom and why everything in humanity on earth gets better generally over time. It's because when they take out one, it's supposed to make two. They take out two, it's supposed to make four. Is that four? I had to check. Take out four, supposed to make eight. I gotta make sure I get it right. My kids might watch it like, Daddy got it wrong. Daddy bad at math. Well, he always been bad at math. That's just Pop. I don't know how he graduated, but that's how things go. I think that's how things change. If they don't come down on us, if they don't oppress us, then we don't win hearts and minds. Like one of the things I was going to talk about is Chile, right? So what's happening in Chile right now? The Pope went to Chile. He didn't make no chili. He went to, I don't know, does the Pope eat chili? I don't know. Anyway, Pope went to Chile, and he met with the, what is the name of the tribe down there, the indigenous people who had their land taken? It's every country. Somebody always taking land. Like, that's just how it works. People always taking land because land is power. And land is where you got to put the cattle, and that's how you make your money. So they're always trying to take land. And the Pope's point to them, or his opening statement, he said to shun violence, right? And I'm not really much of a poper. I don't know what a poper is, but I'm not really on the Pope's team. I was a little mad. Me and the Pope, we don't talk no more. We don't text each other as much as we used to, because I was upset when he went to Myanmar and he didn't say anything about the Rohingya Muslims. That bothered me a little bit. I think you're supposed to always speak up for people, no matter where you are. And if you get shot, then you get shot. That's our goal. We're supposed to be operating on faith. And so I operate on faith. Everywhere I go, no matter who I'm with, I say what I know to be true. And if you want to stick a knife in my gut, stick a knife in my gut. You can't have my joy. My joy is not in my gut. My joy is then I'm doing the right things and I'm standing in the right place and I'm telling the truth to the best that I know it to be. And I'm not grouping up with anybody. And so it makes me feel good to play my role. And if you get killed for it, if you're a holistic doctor, you get taken for it, then you do. But when people watch that I guess you'll call it martyrdom a little bit, martyrism, that's how movements start, right? That's how things change. Is you really start to see how oppressive, and that was the Pope's point to them, is that he said, shun violence, protest peacefully, and you will win over the hearts and minds of the majority of humanity, because the majority of humanity still has that love, and they still tap into that compassion. And when you got the numbers on your side, nobody can stop you. There isn't every movement that's ever been done in this world that's ever survived and made it has been done mostly peacefully with the masses, because the masses, they make the decisions, not the minority. So it is what it is, but we have to look at it and don't even, let that get you angry. I was upset they killed Dr. Sebi, one of my guys. Oh man, love me some Dr. Sebi, the only guy who actually cured HIV and cancer and leukemia. They tried to throw him in prison because he said it, and he beat the hell out of the New York Supreme Court. Proved it to him. All his patients showed up. They said, here's HIV positive. After Dr. Sebi treatment, HIV negative. He was one of the holistic doctors that proved beyond a shadow of a doubt. And they had to let him go. They couldn't put him in prison because he proved he cured those things. And so I was upset by that, but we have the internet. right? He played his role and he moved on. And now we can go online. And now I'm looking at all these other holistic doctors that are picking up where he left off. Like, oh, wow, this makes sense. Electric food. Oh, wow. Okay, this is interesting. And starches and the damages that they do in hybrid plants. And so I think we just have to see the positive in it and that everything kind of works together, sister, you know, and don't let that get you upset. We got to keep a smile. We got to keep that smile. Sister Desiree said, send some rain and snow to California. Oh, it might be coming. It might be coming. Let me see if I got a picture of this. It might. I don't know if y'all understand. Have y'all looked at the Arctic? What do they call it? It might. It's coming. Hang on, sister. Don't you know? You want some rain in the desert? You want some snow? I don't think you do, but it's coming. Like, oh, this is what it looks like right here. It's coming. Where? Right here. The Arctic, the polar vortex. That's what they call it, polar vortex. And so what it is it's basically at the North Pole, and I'm gonna explain this in my non-scientific way, so y'all bear with me. I've got meteorologist friends, y'all can clean it up later, but basically it's a big circle, and all the cold air stays up in the big circle in the vortex, and the warmer it is on the end, wait a minute, no. The more extreme the temperatures are from the center of the vortex and the outside, how vortexes work, it keeps the spin tight, right? But as the temperature on the inside and the outside of the vortex become more moderate, the vortex slows down. And so the vortex, you get a little dip. And it's starting to dip down, hitting North America, dip down on the East Coast, dip down, in UK. And so unscientifically, that's the polar vortex. So you might be getting a little ice and rain. I don't think you want the ice and rain we got. It's been so cold here, sister. Oh my goodness, just no good. And so, but they relate that to climate change, right? And so now I got friends, oh, climate change, but things always change. And so what they're saying is that either the reduction in ice on the polar cap is allowing for the polar region to warm up a little bit, which is the cause, or the other theory. There was another theory. I forgot what the other theory around it was. Either the lack of ice or, but that shifts the temperature and makes it more moderate. So the vortex is kind of dancing around. I'll let somebody who understands meteorology explain it. But yeah, don't worry, it might be coming. Sister Lynn said, I laugh at the cronyism. It's so obvious. Once you see it, what else can you do? Yeah, you do. I think I laugh because I'm sad sometimes too, Lynn. I look, I'm like, really? Y'all believe that? I'm like, really? I got a text this morning about the president. I'm not even reading. I can't today. I'm happy today. I'm happy every day, but I really had my joy. I couldn't mess with it this morning. He said, cut to the Olympic backdrop. I know, Georgia, I want to have an Olympic backdrop, but once we see North and South Korea come out under the same flag, then I'll have a backdrop of. But right now, I don't have Ken Young some dumb ill. Right now, I think all the pictures online, he's the Rocket Man, so I don't think he's smiling and stuff. And mind you, it might all be fake. They just might be doing it to delay things. That's what America thinks, because Washington, they like this. They mad as all heck, like, I can't believe he did that. And they stood down. Washington, even more positive news. So Washington stood down. And they actually said that they weren't going to do any military drills with South Korea. Now, I think that might be a lie. Positive might be a lie, because I think South Korea said, no, we got some peace happening with North Korea. We ain't doing no drills with you, dummy. We're tired of you. We get it now that y'all just trying to start wars, drama, and drop some short-range nukes. We don't want any part of that. We want some peace. We want peace with North Korea. So, and it may be afterwards that they go back to whatever. But for right now, that situation is looking pretty good. Cory Booker deserves an Oscar for his fake performance yesterday. All right, Lynn, I didn't see it. But I'm on your Booker Oscar level too. I have friends who love them some Booker. And when the whole pharmaceutical thing came out and they, oh, Booker, healthcare, we're going to get low price drugs. and all of a sudden, he turned around and voted against bringing drugs from Canada that were lower priced. And it was just like, yeah, but it's, but that's positive too, because when you see stuff like that, then you know that they're lying. Like, that's one of the great things about today is there's so much evidence that they're all lying. And that's where I think humanity probably, where we have a chance and we have that hope is because they are lying. And it's obvious that they're lying. Let me see, what else we got? Yeah, and I didn't see it. I didn't watch it. The alternative media didn't show it, so I didn't see it. If alternative media doesn't show it, if it's not like at world interest level and people around the world are interested in it, then I usually miss it. And I intentionally, if the alternative media don't find it to be interesting or significant, then I'll never see it. I'm so done with them. Sandra says she doesn't own a TV, but she likes Netflix. Netflix is wonderful. Netflix, that's now people say they married Jesus. I married Netflix. That's who I'm. Netflix and I, we cuddle up, we go to sleep together. I forgot what I was watching last night, but you have to find something to keep your joy going. You have to find something that takes you out of this nonsense, because if they can walk you down that negativity path, they can get you to do anything they want, right? That's how fear works. And that's why they try to put that fear in you, because fear sells. It's like all throughout our society, everything, you got to buy this because somebody's going to break in your car. You got to put this on your house because someone's going to break in your house. You got to take this drug or you might die. You got to get this vaccine or you might get the plague, bubonic, whatever. You got to take this flu shot or you might get the flu. And so everything is fear. You don't buy a new car, nobody wants to date you. You don't get a high paying job, you're never going to get married. If you don't, and it's just, no, I don't need the fear. I'm good. And I think, like Sandra, like we were talking about earlier, is I think when you really like swallow and adopt that a minimalistic lifestyle, like, and it's weird, we call it minimalistic, and it's really not. It's just going back to who we are, right? We were very wise at one point in time in human evolution. We did very wise things. And so I think going back to living within our means, it just brings about a sense of peace. And it might be something weird, naturalistic, holistic, whatever thing that we're actually not designed for this level of stress. We've never had the stresses of our house, our job, our local community, our state, our township, our country, our world, whatever race we think we are, whatever religion we think we are, and all of that wrapped up into I might lose my money and I gotta have retirement. And I don't think we're designed for all of that crap. I don't think that's stress that will kill you. So I think when you go back to just more of a simplistic lifestyle and you realize, I really don't need all of this stuff. Like, this is crazy. You just get a sense of peace. What's up, brother Jonathan Kamen? How you doing? So yes, we have his followers. Yes, his death shed light on the holistic movement. Yes, okay, you're talking about Dr. Sebi. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. And I mean, don't laugh at my wife. Stop laughing at Netflix. She's sweet and she kind and friendly every now and then. She always got something new for me. I go home, I log in, and she always got something new. She got a little button. It said, "What's new?" And I click, and she, and she showed me what's new. Be like, he crazy. He done lost his mind. You got to find something to bring you joy. I could be going home to, are you home? Did you bring the bacon? What's wrong with you? Are you crazy? Stupid? Why can't you be taller? What? And I'm not against marriage. I'm not against marriage. I am not. I think marriage is a wonderful institution. One day, if I'm lucky enough, I might be married again. Went down that road and just didn't go how I needed to go. And now we best friends with her new husband. Everybody's happy. I don't like to stir too much happiness. So right now, for now, Netflix got my finger. That's all. She just holds my finger. That's all. Let's see what else we got. The unknown. All about money is not healing people or doctoring them. The healthcare system is set up to make you sick, keep you sick. Yeah, as long as possible, Teresa, and that's, and I'll give that and I'm gonna be quiet. But my take on healthcare is simply this: it's not healthcare. That's my take. My take is if if you're gonna call a disease management system where you let people get sick and you're okay with them getting sick, and the companies that fuel it the most make drugs for people that are sick, it's an illogical debate that that's about anything other than profit. It's not about health. It's about money. It's about keeping people sick and selling them treatments and medications. And so I don't call it healthcare, and I'm not confused that it's healthcare. I believe in something called universal health care, but it's not how any of these political parties wrap it up. Like, I think the left and the right, they're both right. You got to take care of people when they're sick, but you also have to make sure that there are preventative measures so the system doesn't get so big that it collapses. And so they're both right in part, but they can't seem to get together and talk about it, or they're not allowed to get together and talk about it because then the money will stop. If people go back to eating healthy and people go back to not taking drugs and needing vaccines and flu shots and crazy stuff, because their immune system actually fights off all the stuff that it's been fighting off for damn near 200,000 years. I was watching something last night. We might be 15 million years old, but I got to spend a little more time on that. But, you know, if our bodies have been fighting these things off forever, and you teach people how to do that and how to heal themselves by putting a seed in the ground in the backyard, or just not eating, you know, tons and tons of milk and meat and stuff like that, processed food and GMO, then you can't make a lot of money, right? And so, and it's another positive thing about today. We now know that to be true. We didn't know that as kids. We thought the more chemicals you had, the better. You know, eat all the bacon you want, you know, drink all the milk you want. And so these are really, really good things. And so if you ask me about healthcare, it really is a system that is heavy on the prevention and heavy on the don't let people die, right? And that's when I think we get somewhere, costs go down, and people who want to die. And here's an unfortunate part. An unfortunate part is there's some people who just want to die, and there's not much you can do for them. Right? Like this whole euthanasia thing. I don't believe in that. I think if you want to walk into the woods and go, you should. That's how I want to go. When I go, I want to walk out into the woods, beautiful cabin by the water, lake, something, and just pass peacefully. There's some people who eat to die, right? I forgot who the doctor is who has that book, How Not to Die. And I think even Dr. Greger did something like that. He did a couple of videos on how not to die. There are people who literally are trying to kill themselves with food. They eat all the toxic things they can. They smoke all the cigarettes they can. They know that these things are bad, and they're just trying to destroy their body because, what do you call it? Is it called a hypochondriac? Where they know that these things are going to wreck their body, but they're okay with it because they get attention when it starts to wreck their body. There's a psychological thing there. So I think you do what you can to try to help people like that. You do massively what you can to educate people early on. Like a big part of healthcare, probably the biggest part of healthcare is teaching kids in school what they should and shouldn't eat. That's the biggest part of healthcare. Because if you actually get to the kids and the kids are healthier, this whole thing gets fixed in 15 years, right? So I think education is probably the biggest part, you know, of healthcare. It's not drugs, and it's not procedures, and it's not boards and meetings and all of that nonsense. And so it's not, I don't think it is what it is. So when I say I am for universal healthcare, it's probably not the healthcare most people are talking about. It's for preventing sickness, educating people, and not letting them die, you know, and incentivizing it. And I think we actually were heading that way. I got a friend of mine who was in the insurance industry, and he said we were heading that way, where they were starting to giving reduced cost for health care for people who were eating healthy and people who had healthier diets shown to have less chronic illness, whatever you want to call that. And they were incentivizing that, in that because we were heading in that direction, they said, oh no, we can't do that. And so they put in this whole for-profit healthcare model to make sure people continue, you know, down this route of living really, really sickly. Sister Mary talking about Dr. Greger. Yes, I love Dr. Michael Greger. If you get any sort of chronic illness, your first stop is Dr. Michael Greger. If your doctor is clueless and he tells you need lifetime drugs or whatever, Dr. Greger is your first stop. He's got a great YouTube channel where he talks about everything, cardiovascular disease, cancer. I love his research approach, Mary. I love the fact that he just puts the data out there for you. He does the analysis, and you can kind of make your own, decision from that. Love Dr. Greger. So let me see what else we got. All right. Okay, we're good. So there was positive news. I didn't feel I had to show it this morning. I just kind of wanted to talk. And so the good things are North Korea, Chile, in summation, things to be happy about. North Korea and South Korea have peace. That's a wonderful thing for the Olympics. The Pope in Chile is explaining to everybody they need to shun violence and stop raging against, raging to get their land back, that, that you win hearts and minds through peace, not through violence. Just truth, long standing truth. Glad somebody's saying it. Oh, the port cranes. Oh, yeah. The cranes at Yemen. So the cranes at the port that's bringing the food into Yemen. This is positive, y'all. It's positive. Guess where them cranes came from? The cranes that are allowing more food to actually go into Yemen so people can eat. The United States of America. Go figure. The United States of America actually put some money for something good. They bought the cranes, y'all. That's why the cranes are there. And they made Saudi Arabia put in the cranes. Now we got to make sure that they put food on the cranes. But the United States of America took some money and did not give it to terrorism and didn't make no weapons with it. They actually put the cranes in. I was so happy when I saw that. I was so happy. It's probably something. It's something gonna stick us. There's always a little piece of weird hook crook or something. It's something in there somewhere. But yeah, we got the cranes in there. America did that. I feel proud of my. No, I'm not. But I feel good that we did it. That's a good thing. Maybe that means something. What else we got? Immigration. Well, they're talking immigration. They're talking about doing a government shutdown, which is a great thing. Yay! That's happy. For me, that's happy. I don't know about for everybody. Go ahead and shut the government down. I'm good with that. I have no issues. They just playing good cop, bad cop with immigration. I am not confused that either Millie nor Vanilli have any interest in immigrants coming in this country, because Millie treated them like, I can't say the names. I'm not going to say names. Millie treated them like they were just dogs for the last 8 years. And Vanilli is about to treat them like they're just dogs that just drool everywhere and you got mange and stuff, right? Because that's the reality. I'm not here for the BS. You got Millie and Vanilli. It's good cop, bad cop. They play this game like any of them care about immigrants. And one wants to keep them slaves and the other wants to keep them slaves. So shut down a government over immigration, I'm good with that. Shut down. Bye, see ya. Bye-bye, see ya. Oh, see ya. Means the bombs might stop dropping. People might get food. People might get to live. So government shutdown is not a bad thing to me. Shut them down. I don't even think y'all should exist in my world. I think the world needs a break from the U.S. government. How about we give them like 5 years off or something? What does it mean? It means white lives matter, and black lives matter, yellow lives, and purple lives, and blue lives, Yemen lives. Everybody's life gets to matter when the American government shut down. So that's no threat to me. That's good news. I think y'all should shut down. That's a good idea. Let's do that. Shut down. So that's good. So the good thing is, but immigration is being talked about in the mainstream, could be a good thing. Maybe Congress actually will do its law. They'll stop playing around with DACA, which should not even exist. Be clear on that. That was a temporary act. That is not how you deal with immigration. You write a law. You go talk to your citizens, find out what kind of law they want, and you write the law. That's how immigration works. This is not a place for the president. That was done as a stopgap solution so Congress would do their job. They're not doing their job. They're just still talking about DACA, but at least they're talking about it. So that's a good thing. But I don't believe none of the things Vanilli said. Vanilli said they're going to shut down unless he protects the kid immigrants. Millie or Vanilli is lying when they mention kids. Anytime they mention kids, that means they're lying. That means it's sex trafficking or something, Pizzagate. So I don't believe none of that. What else? Oh, Tabby Star. We're gonna talk about Tabby Star real quick, then I'm gonna drop. Unfortunately, the date is coming back. So y'all remember Tabby Star? That was the star that they thought there was an alien structure around it, or there was speculation as to what it was. They thought that, because the light kept dimming at intervals that didn't make sense. Most stars, when a planet passes in front of them, they'll dim at 1%, but this one was dimming at 15 to 20%. And so they thought there was some sort of a massive structure. Well, the first reports coming back, it's been 2 years, is the dimming is happening again. And the first studies are saying it's not aliens. I'm sorry. And it's only a little dim. There are a couple more dims we have to go through to actually answer the question. But the first dims that are happening now, it looks like it's dust and asteroids and other matter that might be in front of the star, not the Dyson sphere alien thing. So we got to put that one. Well, we'll see what happens, right? Let's see. Let's see. All the data is not in, but the initial data is it's not what a lot of folks want it to be, that it probably is just some dust. Sister Emily said, what about the children? Well, the thing is, they don't care about the children. And that's the reality. There's even joy in that. There's joy in understanding that you actually don't care about immigrant children, and neither do you. And I think when people know who not to support, then they can get in a place and they can talk down those groups, because those groups traditionally have never cared about children, right? When you look at what happens and how they play good cop, bad cop, and they play, this year I'm gonna be this and I'm gonna be that, and we're not gonna document them, so they're undocumented, so they can be slaves, they can be sold into slavery. You got immigrants all over the country, including kids, in some sort of sex slavery type situation where they can't tell on the person who owns them. Otherwise, they'll get deported, because our last administration deported so many, and this one's going to do it. So I think there's joy and there's hope. It's not joy. That's the wrong word. It's hope. There's hope. There's hope in not backing Satan again. I think that's what it comes down to. As far as immigration, the only way to fix it is for people to stop supporting the people who want it to remain broken. And it's two groups of people, two parties. I won't even mention their names. They want it to remain broken. Why? You can speculate as to why. I have no idea why. I'm just a peon on the plantation. They don't get to tell me why, or they won't tell me why. But for some reason, they do not want to write an immigration law. They do not want to fix immigration, which is why they haven't done it for 20 years. And I don't think they're going to do it now. Somebody somewhere is making an awful lot of money on having people in the country who are not legal. That's why I don't believe none of this stuff about the wall. I don't believe any of it. Everybody's always lying. That's the world I live in. It's a happy world. They all lying. So when I see the lies, I can see the lie, because I'm not on their team. Have you seen the kids eating Tide Pods? Tide Pod? Did you mean tadpoles? Tide Pods? I'm not sure what that is. No, I didn't see that. I don't know if I want to see that. That sounds. I'm not sure I want to. We have a meteor shower in we had a meteor shower a couple of days ago. Oh, meteor showers are beautiful as long as they're little. When they're big, they're called extinction showers. I'm not so excited about that. So, but even that's happy. Yeah. Hey, we get extincted by a comet or some meteors, I'm not going to feel anything. I'm good with it. If that's how this goes and we get rebooted, reset, whatever, then that's just how life goes. But that can't, meteors can't even have my joy. I don't put my joy in places meteors can get to it. Cranes and Yemen, best news today. Yes, Teresa, it is. And Teresa, but we have to make sure that we continue to talk about it, right? It's like Puerto Rico. Everybody stopped talking about Puerto Rico, and they just let them starve, and they walked away. I think the military's still there doing things, but last time I heard, you still had 60 or 50% of the nation without power, or the state, the U.S. protectorate, without power. So you had 50% of the citizens of the United States who live in an area that haven't had power for 7 months now. So we have to continue to talk about things. We have to make them go viral, as opposed to who's more racist than the racist, whatever. We have to talk about the things that matter. And so, yeah, it was great news. It was great news, but we have to keep posting about Yemen and the cranes to make sure food gets on those cranes and the food makes it to the kids, because it's obviously against what Saudi Arabia was trying to do. They were trying to make an approach to genocide and starve those people out because they knew they had America's back. Washington was going to back them up. So for whatever reason this happened, we need to make sure it's not just some cranes that'll sit there and collect seagull poop, but they're cranes that will be unloading barges, and that food is making it to the kids. All right. Good news, just good news, good news. I'm happy, y'all. Y'all should be happy. Y'all should just be, you know, when we have good times and good, there's always good news. You can't fall in with all the negativity when people want to constantly tell you how horrible the world is, how things are falling apart, how we all gonna die. We all gonna die. We all gonna die. But most of us not gonna die today. And 1 million of us will probably die tomorrow. But it's a part of life, y'all. So, chitty, chitty, bang, bang. Don't worry. Be happy. That's what they don't want you to be. Be whatever they don't want you to be. Read whatever they don't want you to read. Spend time anywhere they're censoring stuff. And don't ever, ever let anybody take your happiness or your joy. Keep smiling, people. Love y'all to death. Chitty, chitty, bang, bang. Don't worry, be happy. All right, y'all have a good day. Love y'all.